I'm with the director of the Caribbean Disaster Relief Unit. What's the role, the crucial role that your team has been playing here on the ground in the BVI since arrival?
Since we came, we have assisted in the distribution of relief supplies. We have also assisted in collecting relief supplies from the airport and also from the seaport. We also had the opportunity to go to Jos Van Dijk, that little island, where we assisted the community there in distribution of some food supply. That was the first thing we did the day after we came in, because it was one of those small islands that did not get much attention in the initial stage. So we assisted the local authorities there. We went over and we carried some supplies, and then they did some distribution and they did some storage. So that was the first thing we did. At the seaport, we have been assisting in offloading some of the small sea crafts that comes with good, and doing the same thing at the airport. So presently we have a team at the airport, we have a team at the seaport, and our communication guys have been going around. They have been to Virgin Gorda, they have been to Jos Van Dijk, they have been up at the airport trying to assist in restoring some form of communication. Also, we are at the EOC, that we listen to what is happening, and also where there are some new tasking, we respond to those tasking as they come our way.
What's your assessment of the manner in which the relief has been rolled out so far since September 6th?
It has been small because number of things haven't reached as we would have expected, but with the challenge with the seaport, I think as soon as next week, I think you'll see a greater number of items coming in. But some small items has been coming from Puerto Rico, from the Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and we also have seen some coming from the airport, the British aircrafts, the regional security system, RSS aircraft has came several times and brought some supplies. So on a small scale, things are coming in, but I'm looking forward that as in the future, in the next few days, we will see a greater multitude of things coming in, so the islands can have more supplies and greater distribution can take place.
How long do you foresee the CDRU being here on the ground?
Our templates say we normally go for 2 weeks in the initial stage, and if there is a need for additional time, that request would have to be made to CDMA and by the local authorities here. But our initial deployment is always for 2 weeks in the first instance. So we are here from the 10th to the 24th, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Your original base is Antigua and Barbuda, where you're also a deputy commissioner of police, right?
Yes.
So speak with me about the comparison of the devastation back on your home turf and here in the British Virgin Islands, and how the recovery effort is being rolled out.
Well, in Antigua, we were not affected that much, but in Barbuda, our sister island, was totally devastated. And it's very emotional to talk about it, because I had to be on Barbuda just last week, Friday, to assist with the evacuation. I coordinated the evacuation because the easiest way to deal with Barbuda, you had to evacuate everybody because there was another storm coming. And per capita, it is very serious because it's a small community. Barbuda have about 1,700 persons, and all the infrastructure was down. The police station, the fire station, the school, the churches, everywhere that you would have been able to use as a shelter was destroyed. There was a fishing complex that remained one of the most stable building that could be used. So now the security forces are using it to provide security for the island. But in terms of the population, they were evacuated to Antigua. So it is easier to manage it in Antigua because what they have done, a number of the persons have moved to relatives, while they have opened two main shelters, two large areas, the stadium and another technical school as the shelters, and then they use what we refer to as a multipurpose center as the point of receiving relief supplies and distribution. So it's well organized in Antigua now to assist Barbuda as they start the process of rebuilding. But because you relocate them, you can now go back on the island and do the infrastructure work. There's no hindrance in getting the roads cleared, putting back the infrastructure in terms of the electricity and water and so on. So it makes it easier for the authorities to go back and do the work, whereas we have left the security forces there to continue to protect the property of those persons who have been evacuated.
Talk to me about the security situation. Here, we have curfew from 6 p.m. to 12 No, it's from 12 noon to 9 p.m. And then we have security concerns. There are some looters going about doing things that they shouldn't. And then some of the prisoners have escaped as a result of damage to the correctional facility. On your end over there in Barbuda, what are some of the challenges you're dealing with and what is the response?
In Barbuda, it's not that challenging because most of the population is out. So basically, the police, the soldiers, the firemen, they are the ones on the island taking care of security. In comparison to here, everybody's still here. And it's a challenge and it's a concern because you have so many persons still on this island. You have so many vehicles on the road. I'm not sure how much you can police this curfew with the amount of vehicles that you have on the road. So it is much more challenging than you have a prison that the persons are on the loose. So it is of concern, and I think the authorities here would have to determine what is best to deal with it. If it's to bring in more security forces, because you would be depleted by the amount of persons you have here. You don't have a big force, but now you have much more work for security officers. So that would have to be determined by the authorities here if they want to bring in some additional security persons. I think the regional bodies are prepared to work with them. You have like the regional security system, they would be willing to come forward and assist with security officers and so on to provide, even fire officers, because that's a challenge also. In Barbuda, whereas we had a number of structural damage, we only had one fatality in the case of a 2-year-old child, a little boy, and he died when his family was trying to move him from one area to the next. I think he fell off and went into a watery area, a swamp area.
The director of the Disaster Relief Unit for CARICOM, Cdru, speaking with me about the help being lent here in the British Virgin Islands, as well as the situation back home in his home country, Antigua and Barbuda, where Barbuda was heavily hit by Hurricane Irma. Peter Gay Coombs with this JTV News Hurricane Irma update.